What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Producing in a Pandemic, where we talk about tools and resources for artists and creatives. I'm your host, William Thompson, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about some tools and tips for songwriters. Songwriting is an important part of the production process, and depending on what kind of producer you are, oftentimes you'll see that in today's day and age and in today's musical landscape, that many times the producer is either also writing the song themselves or working with the artist to write the song. So it's something that we should not take for granted or something that we should not think is important. It is very important, and it is oftentimes the foundation of what will determine if a song is good or not. So we're going to be delving into that today and talking a little bit more about that. Before I move forward, though, I want you all to know that this episode is sponsored in part by Fiverr. I am now a Fiverr affiliate, and I'm super excited to be able to offer to you all the opportunity to have access to Fiverr services at a discount by utilizing my affiliate link, which will be placed in the description of this podcast. As you know, if you've watched or listened to this podcast, I am a big supporter and a huge fan, honestly, of Fiverr services. Fiverr is without a doubt one of the services, one of the websites that I use the most when it comes to needs for production. I have found people that are now my go-to for certain services, and there are relationships that I have formed with other sellers on Fiverr because of their ability to work consistently, to provide and deliver a consistent product each and every time, whether that has been musical needs like session musicians or singers, as well as non-musical needs, but just things that were outside of my particular wheelhouse, like graphic design, like marketing, like video editing. Those are all things that at one point were out of my wheelhouse and I needed to contract and outsource, and Fiverr gave me the people that I needed very easily. I was able to find the people I needed on Fiverr to get done what I needed at a quality level, but still an affordable price. So I want to encourage you to go ahead and utilize my affiliate link. Again, it'll be in the description of this podcast. Take a look at what Fiverr has to offer, and if you want to, you can go ahead and utilize it to start getting your projects done. With that being said, let's go ahead and tune into today's episode of Producing in a Pandemic. So today we're talking about songwriting, and we're going to be talking about different tools that I utilize to assist with songwriting, especially when you hit that wall, that block with writing. But I also want to talk about some tools for songwriting. But before we even get into that, we need to talk about why songwriting is important. And I think sometimes songwriting gets overlooked. There are a lot of formulas and things like that that are out there in terms of how to write a good song, ABA format, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. There are a lot of different formulas. There are a lot of different formats for songs, and oftentimes we can get stuck by thinking about the format of a song and we don't even know the why behind what we're singing or even what we're planning to sing about. And I think it is important to know, first and foremost, what are you singing? What is it that you want to convey? What message do you want to convey? Are you trying to sing a song about a particular event? Maybe you're writing a love song. If you're writing a love song, what type of message are you trying to convey? Obviously, I love you is the message, but are you saying that I love you through good times and bad times? I love you even though you don't love me. I love you even though you hurt me. There are a lot of different what's in terms of what exactly it is that you're trying to communicate. And that's the first thing that you have to be able to answer. What is it that you are trying to communicate with this song? What message are you trying to convey with this song and with these lyrics? That's the first thing that you have to be able to answer. The second thing is really something more so simultaneous. It's maybe a step behind. As you are asking yourself what you want to sing, what you want to write about as a songwriter, you also have to ask yourself the why. Why am I writing this song? Why am I writing about this topic? Sometimes we want to write or produce things because it's popular. So I could say that I want to write a song about being in a trap. I want to write a song about being in this type of environment, about being hard, being a G, being a thug, Destiny's Child, they have the song Soldier. Status ain't hood, I ain't checking for better be street if you looking at me. I could easily try to write a song like that and say, yeah, I'm from the street, I'm from this area, stuff like that. But personally, for me, that's not something that resonates with me. That's not something that I actually grew up living. So the question is, why am I writing a song like that if that's not even the experience I had? So, and that's something that you have to be able to answer. Why? In addition to what you're writing, why are you writing what you want to write? And if you can't come up with a sufficient why, you need to find something that you do have a strong conviction why in terms of why you're writing this song. For example, I've always been a romantic person. I've always been the type of person that, I've desired, relationships. I've desired, intimacy, and things like that. That's always been the type of person I am. I've always, wanted to be able to show love and affection to another person. And because of that, there were times growing up, especially, being a teenager, stuff like that. I was, young and dumb and just ready for love. But there were times when I was a teenager, especially when I was writing love songs. When I was first getting into songwriting, some of the songs I wrote were love songs. And it was because I had this love that I wanted to communicate, but I felt like the words that I wanted to say weren't enough, and that I needed to have the music in addition to the words in order to express what I was feeling. And that was my why. That was my why. And it's important to know what your why is. It's important to know what your why is. So when you know what that why is, it allows you to write with more intentionality and to write even with more conviction, more feeling, more emotion. You are much more intentional, much more definite with the words, with the lyrics that you are writing down, that you are singing. It has a particular meaning because you have a why, a meaningful why on the inside. And I'm just thinking about Kirk Franklin. He has a song. One of the first songs that he released on his first album is called "The Reason Why We Sing." It says someone asked the question, "Why do we sing?" And he proceeds to answer that question in the song. But it is something that we must be able to answer as songwriters. And as a producer, even if you're not the songwriter, but you're working with an artist or working with a songwriter on producing a song, you have to be able to help them to convey that why. And the music must reflect whatever the message is supposed to be. So if the reason that we're writing this song, it could be, we're writing this song because of recent events. Jason Nelson, for example, he has a song and he talks about, it was a song called "I Can't Breathe." And he wrote that song specifically in response to what happened with George Floyd. That was his why. He wrote this song because of the state that the country was in, because of the hurt and the pain that many people that grew up in the African American community, African American context of this nation, they grew up and they felt the pain and the hurt and the suffering. And because of that, he wrote this song, said, "I can't breathe, let me live." And that was his why. And because of that, the song resonated with so many people. It resonated, and he put the lyrics out just in an Instagram post at first, and eventually he released it on an album. It was something that had a meaningful why. And because it had that meaningful why, it not only resonated with him as an artist, which you saw in his performance, but it also resonated with the listeners. It's very important that you have to be able to give that why, and to be able to explain that why. Even if you're the songwriter but you're not the artist, you need to be able to convey the why to the artist, and be able to convey it and communicate it effectively in such a way that the artist, even if they didn't write the song, they may not have had a hand in writing the song at all, but they are able to perform it with a certain type of conviction because they understand your why as a songwriter. And that is the key. That is one of the most important things when it comes to songwriting. You must be able to answer what, and you must be able to answer why. So those are really my main tips when it comes to songwriting. Those you have to be able to get through that first. And yes, you can talk about format, you can talk about so many other formulas when it comes to songwriting, but if you aren't able to answer what you want to write about as well as why you want to write about it, then any song that you write, it could rhyme, it could have all the bars in the world, but it won't be effective, and it won't have an impact if there isn't a legitimate what and why behind it. So I want you all to think about that and consider that as you all are writing your songs. I also want to talk to you about some tools that I utilize for songwriting. It's really easy to understand the why, but sometimes, even the best of us, the worst of us certainly, but even the best of us experience something called writer's block. When you have had a creative burst, and you were writing something, and suddenly you hit a wall. You just hit a mental wall, and it seems like you can't think of words that rhyme. You can't think of what the next line should be. You can't think of what the next section should be, and it happens in various ways for different people. I know oftentimes, because I have a background in instrumental music, oftentimes I will come up with melodies first, and I will come up with little concepts in terms of certain chord progressions and things like that, but I may or may not have the lyrics. It can take a long time for lyrics to come. I have had songs that I have written in a day, but I've also had many more songs that took a year or more to write. There's some songs that I started writing them back in 2015, and I still have not finished them as of 2022. We're talking 7 years that these songs have been sitting in my notes, have been sitting in email drafts, have been sitting in Google Docs, and all other places, sitting in journals. And we see that that is something that we experience. But I want to talk about a couple of different tools and resources that I use in terms of ways to make my songwriting better, or to help improve, or even help me complete songwriting. The first tool I want to talk about is called Songwriter's Pad. Now, I've been using Songwriter's Pad for quite a few years now. I first started using the mobile version on my phone, and within the past couple of years, I had downloaded a version for Mac. Now, currently, they are in process of developing a new desktop version. So if you are looking to utilize this app, you do need to actually purchase it, download it from the App Store, or from your Google Play Store, I think is what it's called for Android. No judgment against the Androids, but you'll need to buy it for any mobile device. It's not available on desktop right now. At least it's not being supported in terms of being able to do all of the functions between the app and the desktop version. One of the things that I love about it is the fact that you can easily organize your songs. You can organize your songs into folders, and it actually helps you to not just format songs, because you can write songs into sections and easily move sections around as you need to. So it's a great tool for arrangement. But I also love the fact that there's actually a way to create an HTML page for your songs and for your lyrics. So that is great for artists. I know it's something that I will be doing soon as I'm preparing to release my album. Is I will be putting up these HTML pages of the lyrics so that people can have access to the official lyrics of your songs. And I think it's great. Oftentimes people are trying to transcribe lyrics and they may or may not get it right. Apple Music may or may not get it right. Spotify may or may not get it right. But being able to submit and have a place for people to get the lyrics for your song and to get it in a clear way, to be able to clearly see verse 1, verse 2, chorus, bridge, outro, vamp, whatever sections you have, refrain, whatever sections you have, being able to easily see and identify that is great for yourself as a musician. It's great to be able to send to other people. If you need to send lyrics, you can send them a web link and say, hey, here are the lyrics. And you can easily, set that up for people so that they can have access to that. And they don't have to guess. They don't have to go scouring the internet. They don't have to try to transcribe lyrics, especially depending on how a song was mixed or how vocals were recorded. Sometimes, even when it's high quality, even if it's done at the industry standard, it can still be challenging to understand some of those words because of all the instrumentation that's happening. So that is one of the big things that I love about it. There are some tools in terms of songwriting. I believe there's a rhyme dictionary, and other tools available within there as well. Now, I haven't personally used it for that. I have mainly been using it for its arranging features, as well as the HTML page. But that is one of the features of Songwriter's Pad. I think it's a great tool to utilize. The app version is free, so I strongly recommend that you take a look and consider using that in order to arrange and write your songs. And I know for me, that's a big step for me. Oftentimes, I won't move a song to Songwriter's Pad until it's finished. So a song may start out in my notes, but it's not until I have some semblance of the order and the structure, more than just a little blurb of an idea, but when I have some semblance of the order and structure, I utilize Songwriter's Pad in order to make sure that the song is formatted correctly, to make sure that the lyrics are correct, make sure that there aren't typos, that there aren't anything else. It allows me to really double check and make sure that everything is the way I need it to be for me to be able to share these lyrics or share this music with other people. And that's one of the things that I love. Now, I do also want to talk about a second program, a second website that I utilize for assistance and support with writer's block. Now, this is one that I use particularly for writer's block. It doesn't necessarily have the same type of functionality as Songwriter's Pad, but this website, Lyric Studio, is great. I learned about it from a YouTube ad. I was watching YouTube one day and I saw this ad for Lyric Studio, and when I went to the website, You can initially use it for free. If you want certain features, if you want to be able to collaborate with people, there is a cost for that. But to be able to use it yourself is free. I love it. And one of the things about Lyric Studio is that Lyric Studio basically is set up with an AI, an artificially intelligent interface that basically adapts as you are writing and typing, and you can set it up to go off of the last rhyme to make sure that it rhymes with what the last word is in the phrase, or rhymes with whatever scheme you're using, whatever rhyme scheme you're using. You can utilize this program, this website, in order to just organize and get your thoughts completed. You can use this website to organize and even finish some of your ideas. And that is where I have really begun to use it. There have been songs that, like I said, I have started over 7 years ago. And because I was taking so long, or because I was having a hard time getting past a particular part, I decided, what the heck? Let me just try Songwriter's Pad. And I'm sorry. I said, what the heck? Let me just try Lyric Studio. And because I tried Lyric Studio, I was able to determine, hey, this is actually a good idea for the next line. And next thing I know, I had the missing verse that I needed for the song. And it's really been great to be able to write again and feeling like I had almost reached the end of my writing. Every once in a while, I think sometimes it's something that artists do. It's like, what if that's the last song I wrote? That's the last song I produced? And that's how I was feeling with this, with my writing. I was like, maybe I'm just meant to do, one or two albums, and that's it. And what I found myself doing was being able to utilize Lyric Studio to trigger what I needed in order to write and finish this song. So I'm really, really excited about that. I know some people that have utilized Lyric Studio to write entire verses, to write entire hooks, things like that. So that is certainly something you could do as well. There is a lot of freedom and flexibility there. Because it is AI, you are able to utilize the lyrics. You don't have to worry about copyright purposes or anything like that. The song is yours completely. And that is another thing about it as well. If you are concerned about co-writing with other artists, if you are concerned about having to split or do split sheets with other artists, it's something that I personally am trying to avoid at this time, just because I don't understand it. I want to be able to, get the maximum impact as well as profit, off of the work that I've done. I don't do it for the profit, but I do definitely do it, and I am looking for it to be a stream of income. So, understanding that, I think, if you're concerned about doing split sheets or having to split royalties or anything like that, Lyric Studio is a great way to write the songs that you need, utilizing their AI without necessarily having to pay for or split checks with another songwriter or with another artist or whoever that may be. And that is one of the great things about Lyric Studio. So I encourage you to go ahead, check those things out. Check out Lyric Studio. Check out Songwriter's Pad. They are great tools. They are great resources. I personally love them, and I hope that you all find value in them as well. Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode of Producing in a Pandemic. I think that this has been a great topic, and I think it's something that is really important to talk about in terms of just understanding the role that songwriting plays in production and in the overall musical experience that we are trying to present to other people. If you found value in today's topic, in this podcast in general, please feel free to subscribe and follow for more content in the future. You can subscribe on YouTube by looking up William Thompson Music. That is my YouTube channel. You can subscribe there to see more episodes of this podcast, as well as some of the other projects that I have worked on. And if you want to follow the podcast itself, we are available on Apple, Google, and Spotify podcast. Just look up Producing in a Pandemic. You'll see the podcast there, and you can subscribe and follow for updates and finding out when new episodes drop. I look forward to talking with you all again real soon. Until next time, guys, keep creating. Bye.